I watched a movie last night, and a little girl had this pony that was black and white, of porcelain. It dropped on the floor, shattered into all kinds of little pieces. And she gathered them all up and she set them on the table. She said it will never, never be the same again. I'm so glad you joined me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. This is episode number 248, Broken Places. Sometimes in our lives things get broken and we hold the pieces in our hands, or even figuratively, we hold the pieces in our heart, and we recognize it's never ever going to be the same again. If you're the child of divorce, the day that your mom and dad told you they were getting divorced, there is a broken place in your life that will never ever be the same again. If you were extremely close to your grandpa, if you really loved your grandmother and spent so much time with her in the kitchen and dancing in the living room to crazy music, the day you heard that they died, there is a broken place in you that is never going to be the same again. We humans, we go through a lot of broken places. And sometimes we try to pretend they never even happened. We don't want to think about it. We don't want to feel the pain. And we move on. And people move on in different ways. Adults, they can move on by getting wasted every day for a long time, so they're not thinking about it and they're not feeling it. Or they get high, or they go have sex with somebody, or they're watching pornography nonstop. They don't want to feel what they're feeling, and they don't want to go through what they're going through, so they substitute something else that just occupies them full blast. But the problem is, it doesn't take care of the part that's broken. If you've ever had a broken bone, and sadly I've had way more than one, when that bone is broken, it doesn't work correctly. When my niece was a little girl, she broke her arm in the swing set. She kept telling her mom, "I think my arm is broken." Her mom said, no, it's not, because you can move it and you can. She was picking up a few things, but in fact, that arm was indeed broken. If it had not been set and casted correctly, she would have been crippled for life. I really need you to hear that, okay? Because you can make an extrapolation from the physical into the emotional, into the psychological, okay? If you were married to someone that you really loved and you believed they loved you, and you found out they were having this torrid affair with someone, maybe even your good friend, I solemnly promise you that emotionally and psychologically, part of you got broken that day. There are just so many places in life that can break us. If no one helps us through, if we don't process what's really truly happening, we're going to be broken for the rest of our lives. And it's going to get ugly. So you need to intentionally look at broken places and what's going to happen. So I invite you today to come with me, though it may be very painful, and though it may be very difficult. I really want you to come with me. If you have broken places from when you were a kid, and I get upset with parents who go, "It's not that big of a deal. I mean, it was just a dog, and we only had it for about 6 months, and it was stupid enough to run out in the road and get killed." So you're like, it can't be that big of a deal. Oh, yes, it can. Please don't minimize your child's emotional pain, and do not thwart their emotional processing. Because if you do, you are leaving them permanently crippled with a joint that is broken and will never function exactly correctly anymore. Don't do that to your kids. If they face a really big disappointment, they're the best singer in the school, but they didn't get the lead in the Christmas pageant, you really do need to help them process that hurt them so badly. It really is affecting them. And then they can come to a place of peace and acceptance. If you have broken places nobody ever worked with before, it's a lot like going to the doctor and saying, I want to be able to walk, but I have this limp. What can I do? And he says, well, we can do surgery. We're going to have to go in there and break it and reset it. You're going to have to wear a cast. But oh my word, think about the results. The rest of your life, you're going to be able to walk without a limp. Got that? So you need to look at the broken places in your world, especially the ones no one was there with you for. I mean, your mom and dad might have lived in the house, but they didn't help you go through it. They didn't help you work through it or put the whole thing in perspective. Please let me help you today a little bit, okay? Whatever that is, your best friends suddenly decided they didn't like you anymore, and they never were your best friend again. They ran off with this other group of kids. Hate to tell you how often that'll happen in middle school. There are just things that happen, and people kind of come into their own personality-wise, and they go hormonal, and suddenly they're not the same. And they abandon their friends, and abandonment hurts like crazy. I solemnly promise you this. If your mom just got up and took off with some dude, like what happened to me, that's horrible, that level of abandonment. Look at those broken places and listen to me really carefully. Make sure there is somebody somewhere in your world who cares enough about you to listen if you're a verbal processor. This happened to me, and yeah, it might have been 25 years ago. But, I've been listening to this lady, Violet Newby, on Pain and Beautiful Picture, and she talked about processing those broken places, and I need to do this. Can you listen to me? Will you be able to put your arm around me? Can you actually care about me as I go through this? I really hope and pray there is somebody somewhere in your world that can. And if there isn't, this is where you get your hands on a godly pastor. You get your hands on a counselor. You find a psychiatrist or a psychologist. You honestly do find somebody somewhere who can be with you through this process and be supportive and encourage you along the way. We go to a doctor and we don't even flinch, right? Don't be freaking out on me here that I'm asking you to go to someone who can help you in the healing process. It's really very appropriate. So we have a number of elements here. We have our heart, which I'm going to call emotional. We have our minds and our thought processes. I'm going to call that psychological. And honestly, then we have the external world. We'll call it physical, but often it's just an external showing of what's happening with us on the inside. Someone who's really ticked off, you're going to see that face get angry. You're going to hear that tone of voice change. You're going to watch their fist ball up. Someone who's extremely sad, you're going to see their face droop. You're going to see them go a little more slowly. You're going to literally watch their shoulders droop. You're going to see it. You're going to see the external reality of the internal reality. You're going to see it. Okay? And so someone who comes alongside of you and shows you support and says to you, I am going to talk to you and I'm going to listen to you. And yeah, that was really a lousy deal. I'm so sorry that happened to you. That was horrible. I hear how much that hurt you. I understand how much that made you very sad. And hopefully, by the grace of God, a good pastor or a good Christian counselor is actually going to bring the spiritual component into it and say, I'm going to pray for you. And you understand that while those horrible, bad things happened, God was not somewhere far away. He was standing nearby. Because he's not a puppet master. He doesn't yank the people around by strings and make them do things. So sometimes what they do is hurtful or awful or painful. But that doesn't mean God wasn't there. That doesn't mean God doesn't care. And God is a great healer. And so we will bring him into the equation. My challenge question for you today is this. Do you know the broken places in your life? Because sometimes we bury them so deep we don't want to deal with them. We're in denial. Our family told us that was stupid and it wasn't that big of a thing, and why did that matter anyway? want you to spend some quiet time with yourself and with God, honestly, and start looking at places in your life. Are there broken places that have really kept you from being as healthy, as strong, as vibrant as you would like to be? Because I don't care how old you are, as long as there is breath, there is hope. There is the possibility of healing. And it is a great thing. I might have shared this with you before, but it's so important today that you hear me about this. I have been through some really horrific things in my life, both physically and emotionally. I've been abandoned. I've been pretty badly abused. I've just really been through a lot of physical, horrid things as well. Last year, almost a year ago now, there was a guy that came to our church and he talked about healing. And he talked about how he prayed with his wife a lot when they were newly married, that parts of her heart would be healed over the issues of her mom and dad's divorce. Because her dad just packed a suitcase and took off and went and lived with another woman, and she barely ever saw her dad again. And that level of abandonment impacted her, and she was so afraid. She was so convinced that she was awful. So though she loved her husband, she wanted to be married, she was so afraid, and she just kept waiting for the day when he would leave her. And he prayed with her, and he prayed with her, and he prayed with her, until she started to believe that he wasn't going to leave, and they would be together for the rest of their lives, and they would have a good life together. And they have, for almost 40 years now. And that day, I said in my heart to God, I am sick and tired of the ways that things that happen to me in broken places of my life still affect me now, and I want you to heal me all the way. And I did go to the front of the church and I bowed down at the altar and I told God, I need you to heal me. Just like if I went to a doc and I asked him to heal me and I knew he had the capacity to do it and I would expect him to do his job, I'm telling you, I want you to heal me. Man, I've had such a great year because so many things in my mind and my spirit were healed that day because I was willing to look at the broken places and to let someone who knew how heal me. I want you to look at the broken places today. Write them down. Determine in your mind that you are going to deal with them, either one by one by one, or in a group if it was a whole bunch of things where different persons abandoned you or different people betrayed you or hurt you. And be willing to let someone help you and support you. And be willing to do the work so that you can be healed. I'm so glad you've been with me today. And I'm going to pray with you just a minute. God, as human beings, we are more fragile than we like to admit. And there are times beyond a doubt when someone really hurts us so badly, we have a broken place in us. I don't know who's listening today, God. I don't know who's watching. But I really ask you in the strong name of Jesus, the great physician, the Son of Righteousness, arising with healing in his wings, that you would put your arms around these precious souls, and that you would bring deep and lasting healing into the lives of those who are listening today. In Jesus' name, amen. It's been so good sharing this time with you today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.